Hello, how are you? This is Larone Koonce. I am a former correction officer, and I'm here to talk about corrections as it relates to Sean P. Diddy Combs. Do I think that he is in danger? Yes, I do think he's in danger. He could definitely be attacked just based on who he is, just as a celebrity. And, people just want to be the person that did something to Diddy. There could be inmates that feel like, hey, I want to be famous because I did something to Diddy. I shanked Diddy. I choked Diddy out. I punched him in the face or something like that. So, yes, he's in danger of that happening. But I'm sure the jail is taking precautions to prevent that from happening. Do I think that someone wants to execute him, that someone might want to take his life? Maybe so, but I don't think that that is going to happen. I think that the jail is aware of the possible threats to him and the reasons why people want to hurt him, and I think they're going to take the appropriate precautions. I thought the same thing about Jeffrey Epstein too, but you saw what happened to him. But there has been changes since then. The person who ran the Bureau of Prisons is not the same person as when Jeff Epstein was murdered. So there have been, some shakeups that happened because of that incident, and I don't think that they will allow that to happen again. If it happens again, if something happens to Diddy, like what happened to Epstein, I don't know what is the next step. I mean, everybody's going to just lose all confidence in the correctional, Bureau of Prisons. So I don't think that they're going to allow that to happen. If anything, they're going to have him on such an extreme watch that that is going to be the story, that they have so many people watching this guy that he can't do anything. I've heard some reports that he's on lockdown, and I just want to take a minute to explain. I got my phone on, it's making noise. I just wanted to take a minute to explain what that could possibly mean. Now, when a person is on lockdown, when they use that terminology, it usually refers to someone who is in their cell and they have to stay in their cell. And I don't think that's the case with Diddy. I think that he is being confined to a certain housing area or a certain cell block, and he cannot leave that cell block like a normal inmate could. Go to the yard or go to the mess hall or go to some sort of service, religious service or something like that, law library, one of the programs that's going on in the jail. I don't think that he will be allowed to do those things, but I don't think that he's confined to his cell. When an inmate is confined to a cell, that is usually punitive segregation, meaning that the inmate has done something, has violated the rules, either gotten into a fight or stole something or done something that is an infraction. And as a result of that infraction, he's been sentenced to be in punitive segregation. And in that situation, he would be locked in his cell 23 hours a day. It would be a restriction as it relates to his showers as well as his telephone calls. I don't think Diddy is under that type of restriction. I think that he's probably restricted to a certain area, a certain housing area, and he cannot be out of that area without some sort of special accommodation being created for him to travel outside of that housing area. He will not be interacting with inmates from general population, readily or regularly. He may run into other inmates because other inmates work with, throughout the facility. So if he's in an isolation area and they have to have inmates come up there and do some work, whether it's maintenance work or maybe bring food up there, he will come in contact with those inmates, but those inmates will be supervised. So it wouldn't be like they would have any opportunity to actually hurt him. I would think that he's under a lot of surveillance. The only way that an inmate like him could be on lockdown, where he's locked in his cell, is if there was a genuine threat of him hurting himself. then that would be a decision that would be made by the psychiatric staff or the medical staff to say, hey, he needs to be confined into this cell and he is not allowed to be out with the other inmates. But I don't think that's the case. If an inmate is in his type of segregation, which I think is probably administrative segregation, he will be confined to his housing area. And sometimes an inmate can be in segregation and still be on lockdown too, because if the inmate cannot interact with the other inmates, if he's problematic, if he's fighting, if he's uncontrollable, they may not want to move him to punitive segregation. They may just want to keep him in that isolation or administrative segregation unit and then just have him locked in his cell. So if he's a threat to hurting himself, they might say, yeah, we want him to stay in his cell and have him monitored from there. Those type of inmates we refer to as lock-in feed-ins, that they will be locked in their cells and they will eat in their cells. They won't come out and eat with the other inmates. So I don't think he's on that status. He's probably allowed to come out of his cell and interact with the other inmates. Inmates that are in isolation, they will eat in their unit. They won't go to the mess hall. The food will be brought to them. They will go in the day room and sit at the table and eat. So that's probably the situation that he's in. He is probably just on administrative segregation. Some people like to use the term PC, or protective custody, for an inmate like Diddy, who has the type of charges he has. He has those SA charges. He has that R charge. And just recently, they're saying that there are minors involved. There's a group of clients that a law firm has taken on, law firm from Texas, and they said they have 120 people that they're representing in a civil suit against Diddy and people that work for him or people that he's affiliated with. And out of that 120 people, 25 of them have claimed that Diddy victimized them when they were minors, and one person has been reported to be 9 years old when they were victimized. So those type of charges are serious. And so that would elevate the animosity that the other inmates have for him, that they may want to hurt him. So that makes his situation, kind of dangerous. Also, there could be inmates, like I said, that just want to hurt him because they just want that clout that, yeah, I did this to Diddy. They just want to be famous. But then you might have inmates that may have a relative that Diddy victimized. They may have a niece or a nephew or somebody that they know personally that Diddy has victimized, and they may want to get him. So that might be a threat to him. But usually, the reason why I say that I don't think his life is in danger from somebody actually shanking him or slashing him or something like that is because he would be in a segregated unit. And if any inmates came into that unit, they would be supervised by correction staff, and they would be monitoring what they do when they come in, if they're coming in to clean or to bring food or whatever. And also, they would be searched. If this thing is done right, they would be searched. The people that have to bring in food to that unit or have to do any work in that unit will be thoroughly searched before they allowed to come into that area. So for those reasons, I don't think that nobody will take him out. And cut this phone off because it's making a lot of noise. Yeah, I don't think that there will be anybody coming into the unit that hurts him like that. And if there's somebody that's in the facility that can be verified that has some real issue with him and has been plotting to hurt him, then the command or the jail will probably issue a separation order. A separation order is something, just like it sounds, that says that certain inmates are supposed to be kept separate from each other, that they are not supposed to be in the same place at the same time. That's something that will be done on a command level, and it will be part of his record, and they will maintain that separation throughout the time that he's incarcerated. An inmate like Diddy, with his status, being that he's notorious, that he's well known, has a lot of notoriety, and he's unique in correctional circles or in a correctional system. You don't get inmates like this all the time. He would be what we call a CMC, a centrally monitored case, where his movement will be monitored by the chief of the department. Whoever's running that department will be monitoring where he is, and not so much what he does, but where he is located. And they would have to be notified if he were to be moved to some other housing area, or if he goes to court, or if he goes anywhere else other than where he is. They would have to be notified and give their consent as to where he's going to be moved or where he's going to go. So there's a lot of scrutiny on an inmate like Diddy. And so that kind of lessens the likelihood of him being murdered in jail by some deranged inmate that feels like this is what they should do. He might be safer than most inmates at this point, because he has the enhanced security on him. Does that make his life easier? I don't think so. It just makes it more restrictive than the average inmate. And that in and of itself, that level of scrutiny and security and isolation could make somebody want to hurt themselves. So that's a concern. So there's a lot of moving parts here with Diddy. And I don't think anything's going to happen to him. I hope he gets his day in trial. As they say, everybody's innocent till proven guilty. So I'm confident that nothing serious will happen to him between now and when he has his trial. So that's how I see it right now. And if you have any other questions, I'll be willing to answer the questions. I'm planning to go live next week after I figure out everything, and I'll let you know about that. And I appreciate all of your comments and your advice and recommendations, so I'll be back to kick it with y'all. And thanks for stopping by and checking me out. And until next time, as always, peace and stay safe.